Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Mohawk Park here on Saturday. It's the 17th of June, 2023. It's North America Cup night from Mohawk, and I'm going to look at the North America Cup and all the other stakes races on the program. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. Next week, join me for my Royal Ascot preview. It's going to be an excellent week of racing there in the UK over the flat, so join me for that. But one of my favorite harness races of the year is always the North America Cup, and one of my favorite cards of the year is always the North America Cup card, because you can make some money with some of these races. So we're going to look at races 5 through 11, a lot of races to get to. Let's get to it right now, starting off with the 5th race from Mohawk, which is the Armbro Flight Finals for 3-year-olds and upwards. Phillies Mares here. 11 horses entered, but 10 trotters could go that 1 mile trip, going for that $210,000 purse. I'm going to take the 3-horse Raised by Lindy as a top selection. Let's go 3, 5, 6 in the trifecta. 3, 5, 6 trifecta. Top selection of 3-horse Raised by Lindy. 4-year-old mare by Wallner here. Yannick Gingras in the sulky. Most recently ran the limbs for this race, the Armbro Flight limbs here at Mohawk on the 10th of June, excuse me, and the horse went by half a length that day, and he basically walked on the front end that day. 28, almost 28 second breather to the half, really got him the victory. I thought that day he basically walked in 151 and won. The best time of the season for him, lifetime best. Coming here back to the final with a good post, be forwardly paced. I expect him to really run a good race today. Two back in the versatility at Mohawk on the 3rd of June. He finished 3rd by 3/4 of a length that day, and he just had a little bit of a challenging trip that day. He just got shuffled out of it. He moved a little bit late, but he still needs something more there. And then prior to that, he ran the matron at Dover as a 2-year-old last year, or excuse me, as a 3-year-old last year. On the 10th of November, the horse finished 3rd by 1.5 lengths that day, and he just sat back early. He never had the good turn of foot on the 5/8 mile. The horse likes a 7/8 mile track. Ran here on the Breeders' Crown last season, where he had a very good place that day, where he couldn't catch the winner, but a 53-1 really outran the odds. Coming here today, I think this horse could try and home a decent race. Wouldn't surprise me if the 5-horse Bell Bellini gets a good trip. Ran last week in the and this one, and went away with it in 151 and 3. Again, not the fastest time for her, but it was still a very good run. Prior to the open handicap in the Meadowlands 2nd of June, she finished 3rd by 1 3/4 lengths that day, and she just never really could get a good turn of foot. I don't know if they were trying. Why use her in the open handicap when you could run for $250,000 a few weeks later? But coming here today, her races earlier, last season could definitely win here. I'll give her a shot at 4 to 5, but I think Jingra has the likely advantage in this one. But to recap my selection for the 5th from Mohawks, the Armbro Flight Final. Gonna take the 3-horse Raised by Lindy. Give kudos to the 5-horse Bella Bellini. 3, 5, 6 trifecta. 3, 5 in your multi-race. The 6th race now, it is the Pepsi North America Cup Consolation. It's for 3-year-old pacers going that mile trip, going for that $75,000 purse. 10 pacers are here. I'm going to go with the 1-horse Stockade Sealster. I'm going to go 185 in your trifecta. 185 trifecta. Top selection 1-horse Stockade Sealster. 3-year-old colt by State Treasurer here. Jody Jameson's in the sulky. The horse is most recent out and came last week in the couple limbs here at Mohawk on the 10th of June. And the horse finished 3rd by 2 3/4 lengths that day. And he just, sat back early, and he just never quickened up out of it. He got beat by better horses. In my show, It's My Show is really a decent horse running later in the final. We'll talk about him then. But this horse just wasn't keeping up. And a softer spot, speed from the inside. I think he could get a good trip and win. Two back in the Sun Beach here at Mohawk on the 3rd of June. The horse went by length, and he sat back early. He got to the front end. He quickened up, and he got the job done in 150 and 1. Not the fastest time for him, in victory, but he still went away with it there. And then prior to that, Ontario Sire Stakes here at Mohawk on the 20th of May, the horse finished 2nd by a nose, and he had a wide poster. He was way out of it early on. Tipped out wide. He really had to turn a foot late. Just missed, but he ran his heart out. That was a very good game performance. I do think he's getting slightly better with every single race, even with the defeat last time out. Coming here at 3 to 5, I'm going to use him. The 8-horse El Rey for Scott Zeron wouldn't surprise me if he gets a good trip and wins. Most recently had the wide trip in the limbs last week, where he just never really got into it and kind of weakened out of it. Had to be used a lot that day. Prior to that in the Sun Beach, again, he had just saw a little bit tough competition, didn't show up, but had a decent place before that on the slot at the Meadowlands in mid-May. Coming here today, his 2-year-old races could definitely win here. He won the Governor's Cup last fall at the Meadowlands quite nicely in 149 and 2, closing up from nowhere. If he runs that race, he could win. At 7 to 2, I'll use him in the multi race. I believe there's a pick 3 or pick 4 that begins with the one of these races early on, the fourth race. So I would use him there. I would go too deep in this one. But to recap my selections now for the 6 from Mohawk, it's the Consolation North America Cup. Gonna take the 1 horse stock 8 Sealster. Give kudos to the 1 horse El Rey. 185 Tri-Cash Trifecta. 1-8 in your multi race. The 7th race now from Mohawk, it is the Goodtimes Finals for 3-year-old Colts and Geldings going for that $250,000 purse. 11 horses entered, 10 could go. The 1 mile trip on the main track. My top selection, I'm going to go to take the 2 horse Gaines Hanover. 2-4-6 for me in the trifecta. 2-4-6 trifecta, top selection 2 horse Gaines Hanover. 3-year-old Gelding by Cantab Hall. Louis Roya is in the saddle. The horse's most recent outing came 9th of June here at Mohawk in the Goodtimes Limit, and the horse went by a neck, and he had a little bit of a wide trip that day, and he sat back early. He got to the front end, looked like he was going to hit the wall that day, but he found a game performance in that final 16th. Came home great, 152-1. He showed something else. He had a quick half mile, 3/4, and 27-4. That might have, nearly cost him the victory, but he still got the job done. Coming here today with a better posture, could slowly get into the race a lot easier than he did last week. I expect him to really run a good race. 2 back and wins a 2-4 at Mohawk, 29th of May, and the horse finished second by a half a length that day. Again, he just had a little bit of a tough trip from a wide post. He swung out wide late. He couldn't get there, but he ran his heart out there. First Paramuch run of the season, and then the Bruce Crown last season here at the Mohawk on the 20th of October. The horse won by a half a length, 153-2. He really put on a performance that day. A very, very good race there. Coming here today, gets good inside posture. Should get a better trip. I'm going to use him at 7-5. I think the 4 horse Warrior Yang is your second likeliest winner. Won the Goodtimes Limb last week by 2 on the front end quite nicely, 153 and 3. And then prior to that, non was a 2 at Mohawk on the 1st of June. The horse won by 3 lengths that day, and again, basically won it in a trot, a very, very easy run. Has been definitely getting better, has improved to 3-0 campaign. At 8-1, I'll use him here on the ticket to end off that pick 4. But to recap my selection for the 7 for Mohawks, it's Goodtimes Final. Going to take the 2 horse Gaines Hanover. Give kudos to the 4 horse Warrior Yang. 2-4-6 trifecta. 2-4 in your multi race. The 8th race now for Mohawk. It is the Mohawk Gold Cup. It's going for a purse of $100,000. Field of 10 pacers going that 1 mile trip. I love the 9 horse Allywag Hanover. I'm going to go 9-6-7 in your trifecta. 9-6-7 trifecta. Top selection 9 horse Allywag Hanover. This 6-year-old gelding by Captain Treacherous here. Brett Pelling trains. Todd McCarthy's in the sulky. Most recently ran here in the free-for-all last week here at Mohawk. I don't know why they keep calling it Woodbine Mohawk. I think we all know now it's owned by Woodbine. They could go back to the Mohawk branding. But I do know Mohawk, the Woodbine branding, makes a lot more money, but, they could go back to Mohawk and label it as Mohawk in the program, not Woodbine Standardbred. But that's for another day. But last week here at Mohawk in the free-for-all, the horse finished 4th by 2.5 lengths that day. I don't think they were trying with him that day. I hate, limbs for harness races. I very rarely bet them. I like betting the finals, but in the limbs, unless I see a horse that's like 8-1 that it's going to win, I'll bet him, or something higher like that. But they just don't try, it seems. And this horse, I just don't think he was trying that day. He stalked. He paced home a decent 27-2 final quarter, but he wasn't going to catch the winner. Who really ran better. Coming here with a better trip, should be forwardly paced and trying. I think he could really run a good race. 2 back, and plus that was his first start of the season. 2 back, you have to go all the way back to the Pontomac pace at Rosecroft on the 10th of November, where the horse won by a length, and he stalked the lead that day. He quickened up when he got to the front end, and he came home in 156-4, or 146-4 on the 5/8 mile track. They were flying. That was a very good game performance there. Breeders' Crown here at Mohawk on the 29th of October. He finished 3rd by 4 1/4 lengths that day, and he just, kind of hit the wall that day. The winner just outgamed him, but if he could run up the race like the Potomac, he could definitely win. Gonna have to overcome a wide posture, but I think he has hidden class to win here. I'll use him. The 6 horse Tattoo Artist, it wouldn't surprise me if he wins. Won most recently 9 horse of 20 last 5 at Chester on the 11th of June, winning by 2 1/4, basically on the front end, 26-1 quick first quarter. After that, he closed up well, 148-2. That was a very good performance there. Prior to them, the send it in at Chester on the 28th of May. He finished 2nd by a nose and just missed late. He was off and on the lead, but he ran his heart out that day in 147-2 when the road was really paved for speed. And then prior to that, in the Breeders' Crown Consos in the Borgata Consolation at Yonkers on the half mile, he finished 3rd by 3 1/4 lengths that day, and he just never was really comfortable that day. I think he's a horse that wants the bigger track. It's back to it today to the 7/8. I'll use him here on the multi race that begins with this race. I believe there's a multi pick 5 that begins with the previous race, so go too deep in this one. To recap my selection for the 8th from Mohawk, it is the Mohawk Gold Cup. I'm going to take the 9 horse Aliwag Hanover. Give kudos to the 6 horse Tattoo Artist. 967 trifecta. 9-6 in your multi race. The 9th race now from Mohawk. It is the Roses Are Red Finals for 3-year-old and older fillies and mares here. Field of 10 pacers going that mile trip, going for that $305,000 purse. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the 2 horse Treacherous Dragon. I'm going to go 2-4-3 in your trifecta. 2-4-3 trifecta. Top selection of 2 horse Treacherous Dragon. 4-year-old mare by Captain Treacherous. Nancy Tactor trains. Dexter Dunn's in the sulky. Most recently, the Roses Are Red limbs here at Mohawk last Friday. The horse won by 3 1/4 lengths that day, and he basically stalked. He got the lead and basically won in a hand drive. That was a very easy race. Coming to the final, has definitely run races quick enough to win here today. I think he could, eclipse that 148-3 and run a good race here today, or she can eclipse 148-3. 2 back in the Betsy Ross at Chester, 28th of May. The horse finished second by nose that day and didn't have a lot of gate speed. Sat back early, but really paced home 27-3 quite well late. Just missed a winner who really ran a terrific race. But this horse, she ran her heart out that day. And then prior to that, an open filly mare at Chester, 12th of May. The horse finished second by 3/4 length from the outside poster. Had to be used a lot to get a good position. And then just kind of got caught before the wire. But she ran her heart out that day. And then prior to that, the New Jersey Maturity at the Meadowlands on the slop. She finished second by a head. She set the pace. She got caught. What can you do? She ran her heart out. But definitely, I think she could, back to the half mile, or 7/8. She get a good trip from the inside. I'm going to use her. The 4 horse Gracie Hill, she's run terrifically this season. She won the Roses of Red limbs quite nicely in 150-1. Didn't even break a sweat that day. Basically, after the half of the race is over, 28 3/4 breather really got to her there. And then prior to that, in the open filly mare at handicap at Scioto, she won by 1 3/4 lengths and 150 flat. A very good run. It's going to be her biggest challenge today, but it wouldn't surprise me if she wins. At 5-2, I'll use her. If you play 2 tickets in the pick 5, I would single Treacherous Dragon one of them, and I would also, in the expensive ticket, I would use Gracie Hill. But I think it's a 2 horse race between these two. But to recap my selection now for the 9th from Mohawk, it's the Roses Are Red Final. Gonna take the 2 horse Treacherous Dragon. Give kudos to the 4 horse Grace Hill. 2-4-3 trifecta, 2-4 in your multi-race. To the 10th race now from Mohawk, it is the Fan Hanover Final. It's for 3-year-old fillies, pacers going that mile trip, going for that $420,000 purse. 10 or 11 horses entered, only 10 could go. We all know that. My top selection, I'm going to take the 5 horse Sylvia Hanover. 5-3-8 in your tri-cast trifecta. 5-3-8 trifecta. Top selection 5 horse Sylvia Hanover. Through a filly by Always Being Mickey. Bob McClure's in the sulky. Most recently ran last week in the Fan Hanover limbs here at Mohawk on the 10th of June. And the horse won by 2 1/4 lengths and 149-2. Quick 3/4 and 26-1 that day. But he took off clear late, closing up well. A very good performance. Come back to the limbs a week later with a good post. I should see some strong pace in this one. It wouldn't surprise me if this horse goes away with it. 2 back in the filly mare, 9 horse 14 at Mohawk on the 27th of June. 27th of May, excuse me. The horse went by 3/4 in length. Again, not a lot of gate speed. Sat back early, but really paced home a great 26-1 or 26 flat to get the job done. 151-1, not the fastest time, but really been improving there. And then prior to that, the Breeders' Crown in the fall here at Mohawk, the horse went by 1 1/4 lengths, and again, then off and on the lead throughout, really quickened up nicely, and 27 flat for the final quarter, 151 for the final time. She really, paced home decently. Has definitely been improving to the 3-year-old campaign. 6-5. I know it's a crap price, but she's a very likely winner. The 3 horse Twin Bee Joe Fresh for Chris Ryder and Dexter Dunn. I think she's your second likeliest winner. Most recently last week, basically waltzed home in 149 flat in the limbs. Great on the front end victory there. Prior to that, in a handicap at the Meadowlands 2nd of June, she finished 6 by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And, she just, didn't do anything. Didn't do anything at all there. And then prior to that, Lexington in the fall in a 2-year-old stakes race, she won by 1 1/4 lengths, and she went away with it in 150 flat. Has definitely improved to the next season. Coming here today in the final, should really try. 9-5, I'll use her in the pick 5. But to recap my selection for the 10th from Mohawk, it's the Fan Hanover Final. Gonna take the 5 horse Sylvia Hanover. Give kudos to the 3 horse Twin Bee Joe Fresh, 538 trifecta, 5-3 in your multi-race. The featured 11th race now from Mohawk. It's the big one. It is the North America Cup. It's for 3-year-old pacers going that mile trip, going for that $1 million purse. 10 horses are entered. My top selection, I love the 2 horse It's My Show. 256 in the trifecta here. 256 trifecta. Top selection 2 horse It's My Show. 3-year-old gelding by Sweet Lou. Linda Toscano trains. Scott Zeron's in the sulky. Most recently in the limbs here for the North America Cup at Woodbine on 10th of June. The horse went by 2 1/4 lengths and basically paced home a decent race. 26-2 for the final quarter. 148 in flat. This horse was in hand easy. Coming here with off of an easy run last week with a good inside poster, has the speed to win. I think this horse is really going to improve to run a good race. As a 2-year-old, this horse didn't win, but was always running these good races. But since come to the 3-year-old campaign, with every single race, this horse has been getting better and better, and I think this horse is going to be peaking at the right time to get to the winner's circle tonight. 2 back in the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes at Chester on the 20th of May. The horse won by 3/4 length, again on that speed-favoring track. He didn't get the lead off the gate, but he got it shortly after. And then Waltz Tolman, 149-1. A great, strong performance there. And then the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes at Pocono, 21st of May, went by 1 3/4 length, sitting back early, stalking. When he got to the front and he went away with it, a very good run. And then prior to that, won at the Meadowlands in a 2 non-wars 2 consolation, quite nicely in 150-2. The times have been getting faster. Great post right here from the inside. It wouldn't surprise me if this horse wins easily. I also think the 5-horse Confederate for Brett Pelling and Tim Tetrick, it wouldn't surprise me if this horse wins. Won quite nicely in the limbs last week at 5 cents a dollar in hand, in 148-4. Prior to that, non-wars 10 at Meadowlands, 27th of May. The horse won by a neck that day and came from nowhere to get up there. A very good game performance that day. Scratched sick out of the last year's Governor's Cup. What can you do? But since before that, the horse had a great season, only lost twice as a 2-year-old. Coming here today, could definitely run a race fast enough here. Even if he runs a Lexington race, he can win here. I'm going to give him a shot here. The 6-horse Yoko Fallis for Jordan Stratton wouldn't surprise me if this horse sneaks up there for a victory. He might have to, quicken up quite a few lengths, but he could win. He had a very good place in the North America Cup, Lensbrand Christchurch that day. And then before the New Jersey Sire Stakes final, winning by 5 in 149-4. That was a good, strong performance. The races at the Meadowlands weren't bad at all. At 5-1, he might just be a slightly below these horses, but he's a horse, if he finds a good trip, he can win, but I just think he might be slightly below. I would use him in the trifecta as an exact. He's definitely used there, but, to win, like I said, just a half a length off these horses, off the other 2 who I have on my ticket. But to recount my selection for the 11th from Mohawk now, it's the Pepsi North America Cup. Gonna take the 2 horse It's My Show. Give kudos to the 5-horse Confederate. 256 trifecta. Let's go 2-5 in your multi-race to end off the pick 5. So good luck to all. Remember also, before I go any further, race 12 tonight, or race 13, there's a mandatory payout super high 5 here, so play that if you want to. So maybe on Twitter I'll have a ticket for that. But remember, good luck to all. Follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Get 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and join me next week for my Royal Ascot previews. Good luck, everybody.